Why, hello everyone. Midway Piper here. I hope all is going well. Happy Falcon Friday / Friday Reads. I have only the one Falcon, so it's the same one you always see. The bent, the brown color with the really cool rusticated bowl. In it, I just popped open a new tin today. I got this before the winter, and I never opened it yet. So, you guys all mostly probably know this. Peterson's Sweet Killarney. If you don't, a unique mixture of select tobaccos including Virginia Burley, Maryland blended with some black Cavendish and topped with a cream caramel flavor. To make this tobacco even more attractive, it is blended with hand-rummed Virginia flake, which results in a fantastic aroma. And I'll tell you what. Yeah, it definitely has a wonderful aroma. So before I came out here, I was putting a new one of those filter things in this pipe, and normally the wire that goes into the actual pipe itself, or the stem or whatever, so it's essentially a pipe cleaner if you're not familiar, and there's a little stem that goes in to hold it in place around, and that little wire piece normally does not have, it's normally been stripped of all the bristles, I guess you'll call them, on a pipe cleaner. And I took one out, went to put it in the pipe, and I was like, this one's not stripped of the bristles. So I put it in, and before I filled it, the bowl, I checked the draw on it, and it completely blocked the thing up. So yeah, something to check on. I was looking through the rest of the bag, and it seems like half of the bag still has the bristles all the way on, so I guess I'll have to clip those off or something before I use them. Kind of annoying. They're cheap, so what do you expect? But nonetheless. Anyways, we're going to talk about some books. There's not too much as far as what I've been reading. I've been in a little bit of a reading slump this week. I haven't really been taken away by most of the things that I've been reading. So I did finish a couple things up. I did finish Inside Steve's Brain. So I did finish that book. That was pretty good. And that was a physical read, so I sat down and read this. Good stuff. I also finished Lenin. That was a pretty big book, so it took me a good chunk of the week to get through this. I did it on Audible. Interesting couple things I picked up on from this book. I'll talk about them in just a second when we go through my book haul for the week, because I ordered a couple books, and then there was a book sale at a library not too far from here, and so I just got home from that, and I figured I'd record this video, show you guys what I got there before I go and mow all of that. I haven't mowed yet this year. It's been raining non-stop almost, so it's gonna be fun. So I finished Lenin. So what am I reading now? Before we get into that, I started to read a book. I've tried twice in the last couple days, and I just, for the life of me, cannot care about the book. That is James Joyce's Dubliners. It's a collection of sort of little short stories about different characters. I've read through like 3 of them, I don't care. They're too short to feel invested in any of the characters. Just a whole bunch of random people doing a bunch of random things that I don't care about. So, DNFing this one. Still a nice looking book though. Yeah. Yeah. Penguin does great with these. So what am I currently reading? On my way to the book sale, I decided to call Dubliners a quit, and I started reading a new book, or listening to a new book. I was on an Audible sale, and it's called Endurance, but it is not the one about Shackleton. I have that one. I've read that one. This one is about the astronaut Scott Kelly, who is now a senator of Arizona. You may recognize his name from some headlines. He got into some verbal spats with Elon Musk. Over Doge stuff. But anyways, so it's essentially about he did a space mission for upwards of about a year, and is one of the first ones to stay up in the space station for that long. So that's what the book is about. And he went on to did a couple of space missions. Now he's currently a sitting senator for Arizona as a Democrat. I don't agree with some of his positions. Seemed like an interesting book. It was a 2-for-1 sale on Audible, so far I'm enjoying the read, listen, whatever. It's a pretty good story. So there's that. Glad I finally found one to settle on though. The other book I am reading is The Bishop's Villa. And again, this is another one of those Europa editions books. Just real quick, I'll read you what it's about. Shy, solitary, and taciturn Rene is the town's cobbler. His only friend is the widow Anna, a woman with whom he has been secretly in love for years. One evening, Anna disappears into the woods. Rene later learns that a group of resistance fighters has been ambushed and the survivors are imprisoned in the bishop's villa. A woman is among them, they say, a former inhabitant of La Casse. Rene can no longer stand by and watch as his town, his country, and his one great love become victims of the Nazis and their fascist enablers. And perhaps for the first time in his life, he decides to take action. Based on the true story of a nefarious World War II collaboration between the Catholic Diocese of Grosseto and the fascist authorities, The Bishop's Villa is a masterful weaving together of fact and fiction by one of Italy's most exciting young writers. I'm not far into it, but it's been pretty good so far. Rene is a cobbler, and he has lost 3 fingers on one of his hands from an accident when he was younger. So he was exempt from any sort of military service. And that woman, Anna, her son, was killed by the Nazis. So she has a grudge or a vendetta to take care of. That's as far as I've gotten the book. So, anyways, now next I'll show you guys the books that I ordered. So a lot of these, all these actually, I got because, sorry for the real close-up. Anyways, so I was reading through this book. There's no mystery about it. Lenin was not a good character. But I've heard all the talking points about why socialism is bad. And I'm really just trying to grasp Obviously, it's never been successfully implemented. True socialism. And so I've just been trying to get a grasp on why the heck are so many people interested in it? Why is it on the rise, you could say, in this country, among many others? So I figured I'd get a couple of resources to look through. I've done some research. I haven't read any yet, but I've been reading around on websites and stuff. In case you haven't figured it out yet, when I find something that I'm opposed to the idea of, I do like to get to know it a little bit more, so that I can actually confirm my bias on it. So I went straight to the source, and I got the Communist Manifesto, Karl Marx and Frederick Engels. And I just happened to find a Penguin Classics Deluxe Edition. So I got this used on eBay. It's like $5. So I wanted to read it and see what draws so many people to it. So I got that. I also got Frederick Engels, The Origin of the Family, Private Property, and the State. So a little bit more background that led to the development of socialism. And then the final book I got is by a socialist that I don't think most people have ever heard of before. I certainly hadn't. Evolutionary Socialism by Edward Bernstein. Now this is interesting because he took a look at Communist Manifesto, Marxism. Or Marxism pretty much says that without an uprising of the people, socialism will never be implemented. And Edward Bernstein says, by the time he was writing, Marx was dead, Engels was still alive. He got to know Frederick Engels quite well. And he came to the conclusion that a lot of the ideas that Marx had subscribed to weren't playing out necessarily. And so he subscribed to, again, the title of the book, Evolutionary Socialism, meaning that an uprising of the people is not necessary, but more socialist policy can be implemented through law and governance. And the first thing that I thought of when I read about that was the Democratic Party. So that one seems to be, to me, the most interesting one to look through, because I see that happening, has been happening in a lot of places. So that's those. The rest of what I have to go through real quick are books that I got at the library sale. So I'll go through some of them real quick. There's two main themes here. The first one are either some classics that were just cheap, so I picked them up, by classic authors that I like. Some of them, they also had a couple of bins of free books. Oh, it's heavy. A couple bins of free books outside that I probably would not have picked up otherwise had they not been free. But since they were, I picked them up. So the first of those free books I grabbed a trade paperback of Stephen King's Nightmares and Dreamscapes. I have quite the extensive Stephen King collection. I don't have this one, I don't believe. Most of the books that were in this free bins, are trade paperback versions, or damaged in some way, shape, or form. Or they have a plethora of nicer trade paperback and hardcover copies that were actually for sale. So none of these are going to look all that great. Let's see. Next one I picked up, it's The First Circle by Alexander, how do you say his name? Solzhenitsyn. He wrote the Gulag Archipelago, that series of books. And this is a work of fiction that he wrote. So I have a couple of his writings. So it was in the free bin. I picked it up. Next one to add to my Mark Twain collection, Pudd'nhead Wilson. I don't know anything about this book, but I've got some Mark Twain, so I picked it up. Next up, The Virgin and the Gypsy by D.H. Lawrence. I've got a couple of D.H. Lawrence books in my collection, so I figured I'd add another one to it. And this is a pretty small one, so probably a good introduction to D.H. Lawrence. And finally, you guys know I read Jaws not long ago, and I said it was okay. If I came across any other books by Peter Benchley, I would probably pick them up used. And go figure, there was one in the free bin. This is The Girl of the Sea Cortez. No idea. Don't know anything about it. But it was free. So I picked it up. And maybe I'll get to it eventually. All right. Got a couple other classics. Now we're moving into books that I actually purchased. In just a moment, after I tamp my pipe. Okay. I have a rather large collection of Anthony Trollope stuff. So I got the Eustace Diamonds to add to my Trollope collection. Oh man, where am I going to start stacking these? I got The American Senator, also by Anthony Trollope. I got Potluck by Emile Zola. Zola was actually one of Van Gogh's favorite authors. It's the only reason I've had any interest in reading some of his stuff at some point. And I think all the rest of them follow a different trend we'll talk about in just a moment. Yeah. And then one other book I just picked up as well. Since I finished that other Steve Jobs book, I've got the big Walter Isaacson biography. But then I also saw this book, Steve Jobs, the man who thought differently. Thought different. Sorry. So, I don't know. Do I need another Steve Jobs book? Probably not. Did I pick it up? Yeah, I did. So anyways, there's that. All right. Now the rest of the books I have here all follow the same trend. Same thing. So before I show you these, let me tell you a little bit about why I got them. I've posted a lot of religious videos, and a common theme that I've talked about in a lot of those videos were the ideas of, again, that I grew up Jewish, but I didn't feel very at home there. It felt more like a business the way that whole process was run for me. And I have had some ideas about things, and I decided that I wanted to pick up some books on Judaism. There's a rabbi that I've been listening to a lot of talks by lately on YouTube. And some of the things he talks about are interesting. They're not exactly concepts that I was either aware of or seemed interesting to me. And so the rest of these books I picked up are a whole bunch of books about Judaism. And library sales, things are cheap. And there's generally a plethora of religious books at those. So that's going to be the theme for the rest of these books I'm going to show you. So let me take them all out. There's a lot. There's a lot. Oh boy. All right. Okay. The first one we have here is a massive copy of the Torah, a modern commentary. So it's got all the Torah in Hebrew. It's got it translated in English, and commentary notes on the bottom. Big old edition. Spider crawling on me. So I picked that up. I'm interested to see how differences looking through that and going side by side with a copy of the Old Testament and a traditional Bible. I want to see what the differences are in some of those, the way things are phrased in some sections. So that's that. The next one I picked up, Jewish Literacy. The most important things to know about the Jewish religion, its people, and its history. It's another big honkin' book. I picked up The Mystic Quest, an introduction to Jewish mysticism. I picked up To Pray as a Jew, a guide to the prayer book and the synagogue service. I picked up a guide to Jewish religious practice. These are all big hunkin' books. I picked up The Royal Table, a guide to Jewish dietary laws, a little book. And then finally, Why Be Jewish? Also a tiny little book. So these are all good things to read through. And honestly, I think everybody that proclaims to be a Christian should also be well versed in Judaism, because, well, quite frankly, that's the whole first half of the book, the Bible. More than half. Gives all the background prior to the times of Jesus. And quite frankly, if you don't know anything about Jewish customs in the times and the history, then I would say that it is not very... You're not going to have a very good understanding of what Jesus was talking about. So a lot of times, I think a lot of people read the New Testament. They read, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And that's all they think they need to know about what happened and the past. And I don't think that's very accurate. It doesn't give a good interpretation of, so for example, when John's baptizing and he calls the rabbis serpents, if you just read that, you just kind of think he's a guy with a bone to pick. So I think a lot of this stuff is good background information to have. And, you don't have to agree. That's just my thoughts on it. And, yeah. So that's a very big table full of books. That's what I picked up today. And, yeah. I don't know what else I'm going to read. The Endurance, I don't have a physical copy of that book. I don't know that I necessarily will pick up a physical copy of it. We'll see how I think about it. If I find it used or something, I might pick it up at some point. But yeah, so that's pretty much it for today. The book haul, what I'm reading, and yeah, so that's it. I'm gonna finish my pipe, spend the next couple hours mowing. Man, this grass is really tall. But yeah, that's it. So I will see you guys in the next video. It'll probably take me quite a while to put all these books away. Find places for them to live, I should start. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a good one.